All right, watch fans, we've been hinting about it, you've been asking about it, you've been waiting on it. Finally, I can say, the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. One if by land, two if by sea. Oh, yeah, okay, I was close. But yeah, look, all kidding aside, you get the idea. The Russians are finally here. If you follow me on Facebook, you saw a couple of weeks ago my buddy Craig Hester, who owns the Détente Watch Group and the website Russia2all.com, came down to Jacksonville. It was hanging out with me. We were doing some business over the course of the I don't know, he was here, what, 2-3 days. Anyway, they are finally here. Nesterov, sounds like a Russian henchman. Nesterov, bring me a drink of vodka. We'll talk about the vodka later. But anyway, we've got 4 options for you available in this Nesterov timepiece. And within each one, there are 2. So in this quick overview portion, in case those of you don't want to watch the entire detailed review, which I highly recommend you do, but anyway, you have 2 options within the 4. So I'm going to show you the first 2 and break those out for you. The first one that you're seeing here, as you can see, is done in all stainless steel, 316L surgical grade stainless steel, black dial. All that orange that you see right there is Superluminova, and you are getting, if I can tilt this very quickly, a genuine leather strap. Looks like that Italian oil rubbed. You've got the contrast orange stitching, the pilot style stitching, because this is a pilot style timepiece. And remember, we're going to get into a detailed review of everything in just a minute. Then if I can do this without getting too much shake on the camera, hey, that wasn't, oh, well, as soon as I said it, then you're going to get the green option. Now everything is identical to this except for the Superluminova over the black dial. Again, notice the unplated 316L stainless steel. You are still going to get the black strap, but in this case you're getting the color coordinating green contrast to the black of that very supple genuine leather strap, which we will talk about. And notice this is that oil rubbed look that's been done on that. Those are your first 2 options. 46 millimeter case, not including the canteen style crown. We'll talk about that in the detailed review, but let's take a look at the other 2 options that are going to be available to you. Okay, now here is the second set of 2 options, making up, as I said, 4 total. So what are the differences? Well, obviously the first thing that's going to jump out at you is going to be the case. In this instance, it is black PVD plated, and I hope the video picks this up because it's not that deep dark black like the strap. For instance, if you notice, the strap really kind of stands out. This really, to me, borders on gunmetal. So that is change number 1. Change number 2 is going to be the lume. This is going to be white Superluminova, which I believe glows green in this particular instance. Still got the black dial. Now the strap is a little bit different. As I tilt this up, you're going to see that you're getting a Croco embossing that's been done on the strap, so it's not that Italian rubbed, and you're going to get non-contrast black stitching that's been done on that. Still getting the canteen style crown. We'll talk about all that in a minute in the detailed review. The other thing is you are getting Roman, or excuse me, in this case Arabic numerals as opposed to the Roman numerals at the 12, the 3, the 6, and the 9. This is going to be a little bit more of a pilot style, and that is the inspiration, which I said we'll get into in the detailed review of this timepiece. A little bit easier at a glance readability. It just depends on what you really like. Now in this case, the smaller numbers on the inside, as you can see, are done in a lighter shade of blue. That's been done on that. And again, if I can rotate the camera without too much shaking going on here, to almost quote another song, you're going to get the second option, black PVD, right? The same style strap, Croco embossed, non-contrast stitching. Still getting the canteen style crown. White superluminova, hands, hour markers, and on the Arabic numerals. And in this case, you're getting almost, I think they called it orange when it was presented, but it almost plays as a rose. It's kind of a unique combination that is taking place there. So that is your second option. First option, all 316L stainless steel, slightly different strap, non-textured with the contrast stitching. In this case, more traditional to the pilot style watch, black PVD bordering on gunmetal with Arabic numerals as opposed to Roman numerals, white loom as opposed to colored, and that's it. Now, let's go ahead and take a deep review of this timepiece. Okay, watch fans, let's take a little bit of a deeper look at this timepiece, talk about some of the backstory behind this, the history of Nesterov as a watch company, and really kind of dig into this a little bit. I'm really excited to be able to have the first of the Russian, or, you know, because of the breakup of the Soviet Republic and changing into the Russian Federation now, the Eastern Bloc countries, really that I think most of them are pretty much part of the European Union, the EU now. But anyway, the first thing I have to say is thank you to my very good friend Craig Hester. As I said earlier on in this video, Craig is the owner of the Detente Watch Group, which is the importer of these Russian and Eastern European timepieces. I believe he's the largest in the United States. And as a matter of fact, you can only get Nesterov from him, thanks to him. And he also runs a website, Russia2all.com, which is the website you'll actually be taken to complete your purchase when you click on the buy button. A lot of great stuff that he has there, as well as a lot of other Russian timepieces, Vostok Europe, Sturmansky, and several others that you'll find there. Craig is a great friend of mine. You've heard me say before on these videos, or many of you have heard me say this, there's good guys in the watch business and there are bad guys in the watch business. Craig, without a doubt, is one of the good guys. I've been to Basel, Switzerland with him twice. About a week each time, and I don't mean we just made like the trip together and we barely saw each other. We were with each other all the time. Got to know each other on a really deep personal level and became very good friends as a result of that. And obviously when I was still on Shop HQ, I worked with him there as well. But Craig is a fantastic guy, has a true love and passion for timepieces, especially, as you can imagine, the Russian watches. So again, thank you, Craig. Let's jump into the watch. And I picked this one because I think, not because we've got more colors of this one, I have no idea what the quantities are on any of these, except they are very limited. One of the reasons they're very limited is only 250 of each color option was made for the world. These are numbered limited editions, which we'll get into, and I'll show you all of that. I just happen to think that this one will probably show up best on the video, which, as you can tell, I'm still working on my video skills. They're not mad yet, but I'm working on it, so we'll get there. But size-wise on this, now you guys have seen the Russian-style timepieces, especially with the canteen-style crown that has been done on that. We'll jump into the crown a bit more, but I just wanted to bring it up because this, when traditionally measured, which is like this or like this, not including the arm or the crown or any of that, is about a 45-46 millimeter case diameter. In this case, I think it's actually 45.5. I'm just going to call it 45. I figure what's a millimeter amongst friends, right? What that is going to mean to a lot of you is that if you do have a bit of a smaller wrist size, this is going to work for you. Ladies, is it still going to be oversized? Yes, primarily because of the canteen style crown, but I think you can still pull this off. But for those of you that like a larger size, it's still going to give that impression. So it's really going to work for a lot of different folks that are out there. I've had requests for smaller timepieces. Now you're being able to get one in what I really consider to be a mid-size timepiece, especially when you're looking at the American marketplace. Now it is only 14 millimeters in thickness, so it's not going to be hugely, terribly thick or sitting very high on the wrist. Let me get some of the glare off of that if I can. So as you can see, only about 14 millimeters or so in thickness. The crystal, we'll get back to that in a second, but you can see slightly raised, impact resistant mineral crystal that has been done on that. Now you may go, Mike, you didn't wipe down the watch. Which I have found, if you don't go over these things when you're shooting super HD like I am, I'm shooting 30p at 24 megabits per second on this new camera of mine, everything shows up. But notice, and I'm trying to tilt this so you can actually read it, this is your numbered limited edition. Now it's done in Cyrillic. The numbers are obviously Arabic numerals, but you can see this is 238 out of 250 made for the world. And it is done into the black PVD plating. It is a color coordinated. It comes off as kind of a gold in person. I don't know how that's going to really show up on the HD under the video lighting that I have here. Now this is important. Why is it important that they did this on the case? Now it's on the case back as well. Most companies, you don't see it, do it on the case, making this what's known as a signed case, meaning there's usually it would be like a company name that was done there. What happens is, with numbered limited editions, is the company will make that. Now, anything that's left over, because it's the case back, they will take those leftovers, which are supposed to be numbered limited editions. They'll change out the case back. They'll put it on a different strap, or put it on a bracelet, or go from a bracelet to a strap, whatever the deal is. Package it up a little bit differently, and it's no longer that numbered limited edition. Now, that's kind of a hinky way to do business, if I can use that term. In this case, when it is done, engraved into the case, making it a signed case, you cannot do that. It's just going to show up, and obviously you're locking yourself into that. Now the other thing is, I turn this back around, that I would like to point out about being a numbered limited edition. If you're new to timepieces, first of all, that means only 250 of each one of these were made for the world, and when they are gone, they are gone. They do not reproduce them. The second thing that you need to know is, so obviously limited availability, and by the way, there are not 250 of any of these watches. They've already been on television a couple of times at, I believe it was $149 and $199. Craig's been selling them on his website for $249, which, hello, do the math, you're getting this for $99. But it is very expensive to only make 250 of each color. And let me give you a quick example of this as you're taking a look at this timepiece, which we'll jump back to. Omega is a great example. And look, I'm not knocking Omega, or as Bond would say, Omega. When they did their James Bond limited edition timepieces, they did 10,007 of them. Okay? Now there's nothing wrong with that. 10,000 can still be very limited in the watch world. When it just depends on what you're comparing it to. But think about it for a second. When you go to the people that are making the cases and the case backs and everything else that you're doing custom, the straps, the bracelets, whatever, when you order 10,000 of them at a time, it's a lot cheaper than doing, 4 or 5 executions and only doing 250. The smaller the number, the higher the production costs go on that. So do keep that in mind as you're considering these timepieces, especially at a $99 price point and what they've been sold at in the past, which again, in case you didn't pay attention, there will be a test, by the way, at the end. Yeah, when you click on the buy button, you have to take a test before we let you buy. So just to see if you're paying attention. $249, $199, $149 is what these have sold at in the past. You're getting these for $99. So great, great deal. Now, as we were talking about, let's talk about the dial and all that entails. As I've already said, sitting on top of the dial is going to be that impact resistant and to a great degree scratch resistant mineral crystal. Superluminova, the king of luminescent materials, when it comes to anything that is paint or paste related, this is the king. Really, the only thing you're going to get better than Superluminova is going to be tritium gas tubes. This is white, which I believe glows green, if memory serves me correct when I was checking that. Directly below the 12 o'clock position, you will see the Nesterov name done in the Cyrillic lettering. Down here below that, above the 6 o'clock position, is a part of their logo, and I apologize, the setting on the timepiece is going to be the winged logo. And while we're doing that, we'll kind of shift, and I apologize for that, but it's a great little segue. Canteen style crown with a levered arm at the top, meaning not the chain. So you don't have to worry about snagging the chain, breaking the chain, having to get wrapped underneath. It is a levered arm, which I personally happen to like a little bit better. But what we're going to do, you just simply unscrew that canteen style crown, is what it is known as. If I can do this without shaking the watch and getting my fat fingers in the way too much. That is going to swing out of the way. As you can see, what remains inside of that is going to be the push-pull crown. This watch is 100 meters water resistant. It is not a dive watch, it is a pilot style watch. You're going to pull the crown out very gently. Don't get all crazy with it, like so. And let me get that out of the way. There we go. Now you can see the Nesterov wing logo, the Cyrillic work that's been done on that. Very, very nice in this particular instance. I do like the dial. When you're done, simply push the crown back in, bring the levered arm back into place, and then screw down your crown, or canteen style crown protector, I should say, and then you are good to go. The crown is, or the canteen is decorated. Again, let me tilt that a little bit so we make sure we get a good look at that. You can see there is the Nesterov winged logo. Now the wing, the pilot style, etc. Actually the name Nesterov, where does all of that come from? And as a matter of fact, this is the YAK-1. And everything from Nesterov, first of all, is pilot style and aviation based designs and influence that goes into those timepieces. The name Nesterov actually comes from a person, actually in Russia, very famous person, Pyotr Nikolaevich Nesterov. He's known as the father of acrobatic flight. And back in the day, while flying what was known as a Newport 4 French airplane, he was the first one to actually do a loop in an airplane. Folks had said it couldn't be done, that you'd kill yourself or you'd break the plane and crash and die, you know, whatever. And Nesterov proved them wrong. It was a French plane owned, obviously, by the Russian government, and when he did that, he was actually put in jail for doing that. They charged him with something along the lines of endangerment to Russian property or the people's property or whatever. And because of the great outswell of public support for him, he was actually released from prison and given a military award and whatnot. And actually went on, he had, besides his thoughts towards aerobatics, he was a firm believer in air combat. Now, we are talking about a time, obviously, you know, well before jet fighters and things of that nature, and he actually gave his life actually to be able to prove that, because he was the first person to not only do that aerobatic loop, but to take down another airplane in air-to-air combat. He kind of rammed the airplane, and to hear Craig tell the story, you know, he was trying to give it a glancing blow to damage it and take it down. He actually did, I guess, as much or more damage to his airplane and he died in the resulting crash. But that's where it comes from, and there's some more of that you'll see on the case back as well, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Now, the rest of this timepiece, 22 millimeter wide genuine leather strap. I'll show you the back of that in just a few minutes. Now remember, as I showed in the beginning of this, and I'm hand tilting this up, the two black options, right, are going to give you a very light croco embossing with non-contrast stitching. Remember, the stainless steel versions are going to give you that sleek Italian oil rubbed look to the strap with contrast stitching that matches the Superluminova color. Everything done on a standard tang buckle. This will fit up to approximately an 8 3/4 inch wrist size. That's been done on that, so very, very comfortable. Obviously you could swap this out if you wanted to a different strap or to a bracelet. 22 millimeter wide, standard sizing that has been done on that. Now what I'm going to do, if I can, is try to make a quick switch out here so we don't have to change up the video, and show you the case back that has been done on this. So I'm just going to move that out of the way and then pop this into place, and let's see if I can get it without too much glare. It is a stainless steel mirror finish that's been done on that, but here you can see the actual YAK, which is the airplane. Now this is kind of a cool airplane. I did a little bit of research on it. In the World War II era, just prior to that and through World War II, this was obviously a prop plane, and it's one of the few, if not the only, I don't want to hold to the only part, but one of the few, if not the only, that went from a propeller-driven plane into a jet plane as well. So it was a very well-known fighter and very accomplished history. Obviously, you can find more information on that in the interwebs to check that out for yourself. You can see everything is done in the Cyrillic, and hopefully we can see that. There again is your numbered limited edition status on this particular timepiece. So you'll see it on the case back, and I know it's going to be upside down, but it's the only way I can do it really fast. Okay, don't get mad at me. But there you can see 146 out of 250, 146 out of 250. And I apologize for all the glare there. You can see my camera in the background. This is a very high mirror polish. Now I do need to flip this around because I do want to show you one other thing, or actually two other things, in conjunction with the strap. First of all, you've heard me talk about the quality of the stitching. Now you can see there is the Cyrillic. I'm going to assume that means genuine leather. Yeah, that's what it means. That's what we're going with. Now the other side, the buckle side, there is the Nesterov name done in the Cyrillic letters, as well as their winged logo there. But going back to this side, I want you to notice, look at the stitching that's been done on there. Very, very straight, very even as far as stitch size, all of the things that we were talking about when it comes to a high quality strap. And that is certainly what you are receiving here as well. I'm going to flip back to this other timepiece. There we go. So again, 4 color options that are available to you. 2 in the unplated 316L stainless steel, orange and green. That is going to give you the Roman numerals. Then you've got the 2 in the black PVD cases, which is going to give you the white Superluminova with the Arabic numerals as opposed to the Russian numerals. Okay, there you go. We do have something very, very special that you need to be aware of, and that's what I want to show you next before we stop this review. Okay, watch fans, please pay particular attention to this. This is very important. Now, I apologize if this doesn't show up absolutely perfectly. Please understand my camera setup is normally done for macro or very close-up related work, and this is not, because I've got a much larger object I'm trying to show you. So remember, Nesterov, if you watch the earlier part of the video, right? Aviation style watches, pilot style watches, aviation inspiration going into these. Now, for the first 35 orders, 35, 35 only, and know when you place your order, I can't tell you what order you're in. You're just going to have to wait and see if you were one of the first 35. The first 35 are going to get this Nesterov map case watch case. Okay, now I've taken these out. There's little flaps. You can see it would actually go in like so to hold that down. Now, pilots, if you may be familiar, if you've ever seen them carrying those big, really square, rectangular briefcases, those are known as Jepson cases. And they've got maps and manuals and procedures and all that other kind of stuff that they carry around. I guess computers have kind of replaced that to a large degree, so maybe they just put clothes in there now. At least back in the day, the Jepson cases for pilots were their maps and everything. Well, back when Nesterov himself, good old Pyotr Nikolaevich Nesterov, was flying, planes were relatively new, so they didn't have, you know, a ton of maps. And this is their interpretation of what one of those map cases would look like. So as you can see, there's all the Cyrillic lettering that's been done on there, Nesterov. There is the winged logo with the Cyrillic N, which, yes, I know it looks like an H. Cyrillic, don't ask me. Can't read it. That's what it says, though. That's been done on there. Very, very nice. You can see the white contrast stitching being done everywhere. But what happens is, when you take these two flaps out, then you open everything up, it's almost like a jeweler's pad. But look what is inside. There is, well, let me get the glare off of that, sorry. There is your beautiful Nesterov YAK-1 model timepiece. Now in this case I put the stainless steel in there because it will show up best against the black. This is that velour kind of material. There's these little Velcro straps that are going to hold it in place. You can take that out. It is a really nice addition to this. Now the Nesterov, I've got to say, especially at a $99 price point, their packaging is pretty cool. I'm going to put an image to that in the image slider or carousel up at the top of the page, so make sure you scroll through or let those images scroll through on their own. But it's very nice packaging by itself. So those of you that are orders number 36 and above, when you get your timepieces, you're going to get very nice packaging anyway. But Craig had these, and he said, look, you know, we'll go ahead and make it a little bit special. The first 35 people. So you can keep your watch in there. Now, if you are gift giving, this makes one hell of a presentation, because there's the watch, right? So what you're going to do, you have these two flaps, velour, a little bit of padding there. Just fold over, kind of protect the watch, sit on top of it, close up the one side, close up the lid, let the camera refocus. Sorry about that. Again, remember I'm set up for macro mode there, but it looks absolutely great. Put some wrapping paper on it. Don't even need a box. Just put some wrapping paper on there, throw a bow on there. You know, I hate to say it, but, you know, Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah and Christmas right around the corner. Birthdays, whatever the case is. Great opportunity here, guys, to get a Russian timepiece in your collection. I know some of you may have shied away. You may not be familiar with the Russian timepieces, but let me tell you, they have one hell of a history and tradition going back a number of years. They're making some great watches. I've met the Nesterov team, the Sturmansky team, especially the Vostok Europe team. When I was in Basel, thanks to my buddy Craig, these folks have a true passion for watchmaking. There's a great history and tradition of Russian timepieces that are out there. These are great watches. You cannot go wrong on a true, genuine, numbered, limited edition of only 250 in a timepiece for under $100. with superluminova, with a very reliable Miyota 2115 movement that's inside of that, with this watch case, even with the standard packaging that they get. I know companies that sell you a watch for $1,500 and they send it to you in a package that they probably spent 3 cents on having it made in China. Not the case here. So that's what we've got. The Russians have landed. Grab the ones that you want. Really excited about this. If you've got any questions, info@hotnesspicks.com. You can hit me up on Facebook. However you'd like to do it. Take advantage of this. Thanks again to my buddy Craig Hester for making this happen. Thanks for checking it out.